On today's episode of Like Father, Like Son, we're going to discuss the likely candidates for the 2028 presidential election. There are conversations taking place across the country, strategizing about who can lead their respective party to victory and win the White House. This is going to be a free flow of ideas where I assume our generational bias will come out, as will the differences in our opinions. So we're going to start with the Democrats. I'm going to pass it over to Nick.
So we'll just quickly start with those that we may not agree, will do very well. Um, you can tell me if you disagree. Amy Klobuchar doesn't have a chance in my eyes.
Well, you know what? She's proved herself to be a national figure in the last go around. And she's, from a solid Midwestern state and has done a good job as a senator from Minnesota. So,
You want to argue probably not or no chance?
no, probably not.
Okay. John Fetterman?
All right, I like him. He's a shit disturber, right? He's tried to get away from the progressive wing and acts more like a realist. I really don't like that he walks around in gym shorts and hoodies. I mean, I wish he'd show a little more respect for the office, but
Your guy Zelensky does it though.
not even close. He at least has battle fatigue on of some sort. What do you like about Fetterman?
Um, I don't really like him, but he is a shit disturber. He's willing to talk to both sides, which is important. But he's in the mega nod because there's zero chance the Democratic Party gets behind him. He was just freshly elected. He won't go anywhere. Yeah. Well, Elizabeth Warren also a mega nod to me. Too old. Her time's passed. I don't think she tries to run. Um, I think it's simple as that.
Let me. I want to get off a little tangent. The problem we've been having lately is the extremes have seemed to win out. We haven't had a good centrist in a while that would do a better job of bringing more of the country together. And Warren kind of, even if she isn't so extreme in the Democrats' eyes, she is in a lot of the Republican world. So that makes her, in my eyes, a no-go because we need someone who actually is a true centrist. And there are a few in the field, so I'm open to them, but I just don't want to continue with the extremes. I mean, Biden, he preached being a centrist when he was trying to get elected, and he was so far from it, he drove the pendulum swang completely the other way. So,
The Dems have two options. They can either go centrist or go more extreme. Depending who you ask that is a Democrat, will say either or. I've talked to Democrats who say they want them to go more extreme and some to say more centrist. So we'll see. Another mega nah who's been kicked out of the party pretty much is Dean Phillips. After he tried to run against Joe, he's got no chance.
yeah.
Ruben Gallego, recently elected in Arizona. He beat out Crazy Cake Kerry Lake.
Yeah.
I'd go probably not, again, recently elected. He, I just don't think he's going to try to run.
And he's not
and
national.
I don't think he's too ready yet.
Yeah, he's not
give him some
national
more
enough.
time.
He does bring something that the Democrats lacked in the last elections. They lost a lot of the Latino vote.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's just not national enough figure today. Who knows? If he gets out and stumps and actually does something during his term right now, but that seems to be rare in Congress. So I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, Raphael Warnock is next up, senator of Georgia. He's solid. I just don't think he's going to be running in 2028.
Yeah.
And if he does, I don't think he goes too far. He needs to continue to build up his name. Very, very low level at the moment.
I mean, all these Democrats, even the two you just mentioned, what the Democratic Party's lacking is someone who is a national level leader and voice. And I mean, Cory Booker has tried to rise up and has the potential, but someone has to come out of the crowd and step forward. So it's possible with Warnock or Gallego, but it's going to take probably some money too, and some stronger backing from the money world for somebody to rise above everyone else.
Okay, I know you're a fan of this guy, Mark Kelly,
Also
VP
Arizona.
option. Yeah,
Mhm.
also Arizona. Um, I think I just don't know how good of a chance he's gonna have. He looks older. I think he's in his 60s. He looks 70.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
I mean,
solid
all
guy,
American
whatever.
background,
All American.
Air
He's a solid
Force,
guy, but
astronaut.
does he would he break into the top eight, on that stage? Does he get the funding? Does he get the name recognition? Maybe, but what do you think?
Yeah, it's the same as the other two, but he's had a higher profile lately. So I'm open. Again, I do like I like his strong leadership and willingness to state his views. So we'll
Uh,
see.
where do you
I
want him?
agree, though. You know that.
Probably nah. Could
Yeah,
surprise. I have him in probably nah, but I guess he could surprise. But
right.
what do you think?
I think he's in the probably not.
Yeah. Let's jump ahead to Cory Booker.
He's raised his stature. He's
He
probably a
just did
level above
the
everyone you've named, to be
yeah.
honest.
He just did the, whatever 24-hour or 23-hour talk for the
Yeah, it was a little bit of a staged event, but
yeah.
it served a purpose.
Um, I'd say he probably has no chance.
Yeah.
But I think again he's more nationally known than a lot of these guys. Maybe Mark Kelly rivals that, but he's a little younger. Um, and yeah, uh, Ro Khanna of San Francisco, the Bay Area. Do you know much about him?
No, I think he hasn't been able to make a name for himself in Congress.
Yeah,
And so as a result, he's got nothing to stand by. He's got nothing to hang his hat on, right?
I think he's interesting. I think for the future he might have something. For 2028, I'd say probably not. But he is an interesting person in politics currently, and if he can develop his voice, I think he can start to push strides. Let's go for the one of the losers, 2024, Tim Walz.
Yeah, I think he had his 15 minutes of fame.
He's been campaigning though. He's been campaigning these
I
past
understand.
4 months.
He liked being in the limelight. There's no doubt. But
I think he's probably has no chance
yeah,
because I think this
but he has more
the
national right. He has more
he,
national name recognition than the
he'll
other.
make
Sure.
he'll be on that top eight stage. Will he be top three? Probably not.
You know,
I would guess not, but maybe he could surprise. Maybe he's a possibly, but I just don't think there's a chance he gets the nomination.
Nick, another I think the country's going to turn and um hopefully turn to someone younger. I mean, it's been a long time coming to get someone in their 40s or even, early 50s in. I think the younger generation has had enough of these octogenarians after two in a row, and they're gonna lead the revolt that we've got to have someone young who represents their views and your views, for example.
Yeah.
And
So
I think it's going to change in this next election.
do you want him in the possibly, or I'd say no chance? Because I don't
No,
think
no,
he's
no.
but
Walls isn't the one. As I say that, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking more about somebody. You're going to name a few more people who are younger, who I think have a chance, and who can bridge the gap.
where do you want him? Where do you want him?
You can leave him there because of the
Okay.
name. He's got as much national name recognition as anyone we've mentioned so far. He and
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren and maybe Cory Booker. But the other thing I like about Walls that I I think carries a lot of weight is the governors have a better all around leadership and capacity to lead the country, because they've been managing budgets, they've been managing a lot of people in the government and in their state governments, and they're just, I mean, we've had senators in, we've had secretary of states who've risen to the top, but the governors to me are more of a natural step into the White House. So I tend to support a governor more than someone who's in Congress. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, we'll stay on governors. Somewhat nearby, J.B. Pritzker. I have a bit of a harsh opinion on him. I don't think he goes anywhere.
The
He's got the
Democratic,
money. He's got the
yeah,
money to go top 8. I think he can be on that stage when the primaries come. But I would bet my entire left foot and my right foot that the Democrats don't put a billionaire on the ticket against a Republican. I don't see if there's a way. His money will get him far in the primary, but I don't think there's a chance in the world he gets the nomination.
Illinois is one of those.
He's bigger time, and I think he will make the top 8, which is why I put him in the. I'd say no chance, but there's no chance he's getting the nom.
Illinois is one of those high tax blue states that has been hemorrhaging population versus bringing in more people and more business. And I just, in Chicago in itself has been, it's not a failed city, but it's not thriving. And it's all part of Illinois is not a model state to head to the White House from, to me.
Yeah. Well, staying nearby, Mr. Pritzker, a bordering state with Gretchen Whitmer. I think she's actually quite interesting. Michigan's a very interesting state. I think she's got some potential. I think her name is out there. I think besides AOC and Kamala, she's probably the 3rd most popular woman in the Democratic Party currently. I think she's got some potential. She's got backers. I think she'll be able to get donors for her campaign. And I think she's, got a chance. She could potentially get that nomination. She wouldn't be my top pick, but I think she is in the running. And depending how she runs her campaign, she could get that nomination. So
I think she's the top woman candidate.
I probably agree.
I really believe that she's done a great job in Michigan. She's very popular in Michigan. Again, it's a definitely a critical state. So, and with the auto industry right now in, going through massive changes and that being our #1 auto state, she's going to have an impact. And the voters are going to clearly see how they fared during the Republican reign. And, being one of the leading manufacturing states, we'll see what happens. But she's done a good job. And again, I think she's the top woman candidate in both parties.
So do you think she should be in mainstream or highest potential?
Maybe highest potential, now that you say that.
Yeah, okay.
So
well, we'll go to another governor. We'll just stay on the topic. Josh Shapiro. He's been doing some interviews the last couple months. He really made name during the Kamala VP talks. And ultimately probably should have been the VP based off how the election went, especially in Pennsylvania. He's an interesting person that could run. He's pretty recently elected, so maybe he won't run right away, as this is a stacked Democratic, kind of running. There's going to be so many Dems trying to run, so he might not do it right away. My guess is he will. But what's your thoughts on Josh Shapiro?
Like Whitmer, Shapiro could be that centrist candidate. Again, he's in an important state. again, like Whitmer, he's got strong backing in the state. He's done a good job. He's a strong leader.
You get a lot of donors too.
Yeah.
Do
He
you think, but the one thing is, do you think with such a, you know, as we'll talk about later, the Democratic Party is so large. There's like 4 sections, 5 sections of different people that are considered Democrats. Do you think him being Jewish has any impact? Because he's signed bombs for Israel. He's Jewish. He's pro-Israel. I think that was a major reason Kamala didn't pick him as a VP candidate. Do you think that will affect his 2028 running? Will people kind of be moved on in 4 years? My guess is no. But does that affect him?
oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. It's one of the biggest challenges he'll have. And I'm not talking his pro-Israeli stance, just being Jewish. There's no doubt that that'll be looked at by some as, not voting for him. So
He he
he'll have to work through that, and the Democrats will have to work through that if they if
if
they
they pick
don't.
him, yeah. I think I don't want to put him in highest potential. I think he's mainstream. I think he's got some good stuff, some bad stuff. The pro-Israeli um, stances and affiliations will not help him, especially as he's running, he's going to get a lot of Jewish donations. Um, and I think people are already taking looks at that as, you know, a lot of candidates have taken money from Jewish backed donors. I think he will obviously certainly do so. I'm going to put him in mainstream. I don't think he's highest potential. Um, let's step away from governors a little bit. Ex-cabinet member Pete Buttigieg. I think he certainly runs in 2028. There's no doubt in my mind. But how will he do? That's the question.
He made a strong showing in the last primary that they actually had, right?
Yeah, 2020,
And
yeah.
and he, you know what? He did a commendable job. I mean, the infrastructure plan was really all around um, the transportation sector. So he has some things he can hang his hat on too, and what he accomplished. A lot more than when he was just the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. Um,
I
I don't
think
I don't think being gay will affect him. I think
I disagree on that. I think it
yeah,
does.
I will, but yeah, you're right. I just said it would affect Shapiro and his Judaism, right? So
I think it does affect him.
that was my
Um,
bias coming out, right? Uh,
yeah, no, I think it does. I mean, for example, Ben Shapiro just made a video talking about Democrats, and one of the reasons he disliked Buttigieg was Buttigieg is religious, he's a Christian, or he's Catholic, I don't remember one of the two. But he would go to church and read from the Bible and try to explain why gay marriage is acceptable in the Bible and try to cite these things. And Ben Shapiro, that was one thing he took offense to. I think other religious people that may be independents or fence sitters might take offense to that as well. Um, I think it will affect him. To how much, I don't know. It might only be a small amount, and he might be able to get elected. He might be electable. Um, he might be able to win enough people over and be like, you know what, I don't really give a shit. I don't care. Because I think he's a great talker. He articulates what he's saying. He's a solid debater. He's a
and
good
and he's
debater.
he's part of the younger generation. Let's be
He's part of
honest.
the younger generation. I think he was one of the few cabinet members of Joe Biden to really stand out and say, I'm not as bad as some of these other people or this presidency. Um, he got along with some of the Republicans, like Elon Musk and him would go back and forth on Twitter. Elon would complain about transportation. He was very verbal, he communicated well with people on social media about his job. I think he's got a solid chance. That's why I put him in the possibly with a question mark, because I think it really weighs in on how much does this country care about someone that's gay and how good of a campaign he can run. Those are the two things, because I think he's got solid qualities to rise to at least the top three. But Willie, we'll see.
You know, in the old days, you had to have some foreign policy experience, and if you didn't, your opponent hammered you on that. But I don't know if it matters as much as it used to.
Uh,
But he's one of those that falls into that world, and in fact, most of them don't have any foreign policy experience. I'm thinking like Nikki Haley's one exception, right?
yeah.
But Marco Rubio now, I'm talking on the Republican side, at least has been Secretary of State. But most of the other ones, especially the senators and congressmen people. So it's not. It'd be nice to say that's a strong thing, but again, he falls in with everyone else. He has zero.
Yeah.
So it's not good or it's not bad, I guess. No.
Okay, we'll stay on senators. We'll take a little break from governors and cabinet members. John Ossoff. He's we've talked about the younger people. Um, 38 years old, Senator of Georgia. Does he have a chance? What do you think?
Yeah. Again, he hasn't made enough big enough. I'd move him down. He's
I'd
no better than.
probably not. I'd say
Yeah.
no chance. What are you thinking?
I probably not. It just he
Probably
hasn't
not.
made a name, and again, he's been senator now for at least one,
5 years,
yeah,
four or
almost a
five
whole
years.
term. And nobody could pick him out of a lineup, to be honest, right?
I think he could do, not that it's so comparison, but or too comparable, but he could do like a Vivek and run, and people are like, "Who the hell is this 38-year-old kid?"
Right.
Well, I guess he'd be 42, but who's this 42-year-old guy that's young and a senator out of Georgia? And he could start to build up his name a little bit. 2028, he doesn't go anywhere, but he might be able to break through a little bit on that national scale.
Yeah. But it's going to take some money again and work.
Yeah.
And again, if he's running for reelection, he's going to have a fight in Georgia. So he'll be spending a lot of his time doing that. I mean,
Yeah.
both those Georgians got elected because of during the Biden Trump first election
Yeah.
when everything fell apart. So they kind of came in through the back door. They didn't exactly win going away.
Yeah.
So they're going to have troubles holding on to their seats.
So we'll stay young. AOC. Like mentioned before with Tim Walz, who's campaigning, she is the campaigner right now with Bernie. She just came to Los Angeles. I think they were just in Bakersfield. Um, they're going all around the country, trying to fight oligarchy, stating their opinions. They're traveling. She's planning something big. It's clear as day. If you're running a world tour or nationwide tour with Bernie, Bernie's stated he's looking for a replacement. I mean, at this rate, is he running? I don't even have him on the list because I couldn't imagine him running, but shit, he might.
Mm-hmm.
If he does, we'll just him and AOC. Well, if he runs, AOC's is a VP, so we'll just say if AOC symbols both of them because she kind of does. It's either Bernie runs and she's the VP, or she runs and he gives her his endorsement. So it's either way. But I think the mainstream category is the perfect category for her because how far can she ride this? She's climbing in popularity. She's a populist. The country, I believe at this point, since 2016, has become a country that supports populist candidates. They prefer populists. She could be climbing in the ranks and she could be a serious threat. Will she win? That's going to be difficult based off her policies. She's very on the left. She definitely, again, like we said earlier, there's different sections of the Democratic Party. She is a different section, and her and Bernie are completely different sections. Independents, I think, are less likely to side with her and side with Bernie, as we've seen some fence sitters, some independents kind of don't like Bernie, and some love him. It's really in the middle. So we'll see. I think she's mainstream, and I think she's potentially the candidate. Do I think she will be? No. But could she surprise everyone and show how much of a populist world we're in? She might.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. again, as I mentioned at the beginning, though, she represents the progressive that what I would say is the extreme that makes it difficult to win at a national level.
People want
And
that though. Some people want that.
her past statements will come back to haunt her. As you know, during elections, they pick out, something that happened 5, 10, 15 years ago or something you said. And I'll give you an example. The business crowd is always going to hang their hat on that Amazon wanted to open up a
Yeah.
warehouse in her district and she fought it and, with it, hundreds of jobs. And so there's certain things that she's tried to please her followers or her supporters, and it's put her into a corner. But I'll tell you, the people. I'm back to the young voters. People under 40 are looking for not a new face, but someone to lead them and lead what they believe in. And she's out there, especially gaining all the support out, like you said, with Bernie. So
Yeah.
she definitely is rising to the top right now. So we'll see.
Well, let's continue. Rising to the top. This is one of my top candidates, Wes Moore. I think he at the DNC had one of the strongest speeches during the weekend. He is a very interesting um, rising name in the Democratic Party. He's young. He's got a military background. He's in Maryland. He started getting a lot of national coverage after the bridge collapsed.
Right.
Feels like 2 years ago. I feel like that's a fair
Right.
guess. And I think he's starting to climb in the ranks. Will he be the 2028 nominee? Who knows? But I think he's the future of the Democratic Party. I'm going to throw him in highest potential.
Ooh,
Do
you're
you
bringing him
agree,
right up to the
disagree?
top. Again, he's a governor. He's got that going for him. He had a tough act to follow. So the Republican there, Larry Moore. God, I hope that's
Yeah.
not it was Larry. I can't remember his name, but he was a stud. So he's continued to lead that state. They've had strong leaders, probably two of the strongest leaders to follow each other in a long time. So I agree. I don't know if he should be on the top tier, but because he still has a long way to go, right?
What's the
I
highest potential? I
I'm
think he's
not
at the
sure
top.
if I'm not sure if Middle America knows who he is, but
We'll get him on, but that's the point of
yeah,
your campaign.
yeah, exactly.
Again, I don't think he wins it, so maybe he's not number one, but I think he's in the highest potential category. I think he can
All
make a
those,
surprise.
I don't know if Gretchen Whitmer is in that category, but all those ones at the top are pretty eloquent, are pretty, they're in the Gavin Newsom world of can talk well. So
All right. Well,
speaking
you're
of
wanting
Gavin,
Gavin.
yeah,
Okay. Well, the issue with Gavin is he could be down here, but he can also be up here.
yeah.
So it depends who you're talking to. Um, I think the mainstream category is kind of built for him. Um, I'm completely 50-50. Could Gavin
Well,
Newsom get the
he's
donors,
divisive. He's
pull
divisive.
the strings? He's pulling the strings now with this podcast. He debated Ron DeSantis. He he is shady. He's the greatest politician you can find, and he I think Charlie Kirk said it on Gavin's podcast. I don't think there's anything more that this guy wants than to be president. He continues to deny it. I think he's going to try some shit. Will he? Is he electable? He's got a bad record. I mean, the last year and a half, recently on that November ballot, he was against a 60-40 criminal bill. I forgot what prop it was. I think it was prop 20 something. He was against that, which passed 60-40. He had no opinion on Prop 6 or 5, the involuntary servitude prop. He um, he's recently been going against the Democratic Party national, norms of trans opinions, trans athletes. He's starting to really kind of fight like, oh, look, I'm a centrist. And he's so slimy and slick that he could pull that off and switch because you don't even know what this guy believes. You can look at
But
his record and believe, okay, this is what he believes. And then he'll come on the 2028 national campaign and he'll tell you some other shit and you'll be like, wait, what? and you'll start to believe him because he's so slick and he's such a good talker. And he's such a good debater that he's gonna be owning a lot of these people. Um, so it really depends what's the campaign he runs. I think he's starting to gear up. He was asking Charlie Kirk, what's some advice on how we can do better? He's asking Republicans how the Dems can do better. He's starting a podcast talking to more Republic. I think his son is, I think, more right leaning because he's a fan of Charlie Kirk. He was
Mhm.
talking about that. I think Gavin is going to try some slick shit. I think he's got to be in the mainstream category. To some, he's the goddamn worst candidate you could pull out.
Yeah.
He is, obviously not the greatest comparison again, but if the Dems want their own Trump, that's your guy.
And think about this whole list you got here. He's probably got the number one name and face recognition.
Yeah,
Maybe him and AOC. But
those two
those
are the biggest for
two,
sure.
yeah, those two, which goes a long way. I mean, actually, I see Kamala on there. So
Yeah,
maybe Kamala's number one, but I don't think she's running.
we'll get to her.
Yeah, I think she had her
We'll get to her. We'll get to
day in
her.
the light. Um, the challenge with Gavin is got to run on a record that's spotty. His
Failed promises, 1 million houses only built, or 3 million houses only built 1 million.
yeah.
Tiny homes is going to build, I think, 100,000, only built 10,000.
It just
Um,
his education initiatives, everything has been a struggle in this state where Democrats, it's an all Democratic state. I mean, the legislature would do whatever he wants in theory because, but again, like New York and also Illinois, there's been more of an exodus out of California with the high taxes, highest tax state in the country.
People are
And
leaving the state.
yeah,
I
so
think the other thing is, I think this is going to, I think this is a truth similar to Kamala was California. Do they throw another Californian candidate out there? They
yeah,
might, but you might, I mean, one thing Josh Shapiro has, or Gretchen Whitmer, is Michigan, Pennsylvania. Um, they they aren't for sure locks.
yeah, they're
California's a for sure
battleground,
lock.
right?
I think he is the hardest to place because he could come out and steal everything and become the fucking candidate and just show how good of a politician he is. Or he could just be absolutely hated. There's people more loved than him. Like AOC, for example, is probably going to be more loved than him.
Yeah, I
But
don't know about that. That's a
well,
huge.
she's got a big section of fans.
Yeah,
But and my point is loved. At least I'm talking about the primaries right now. On a national scale, I think Gavin's got a better chance, but or like on from both parties, but
he's way more battle
it's
tested
50-50.
than
He's
she
battle
is.
tested. He's
Yeah,
battle tested. He's experienced, and he's slimy. He's a good debater. He's slimy. He could do whatever. He's slick. It's hard to place him. I think the mainstream's a perfect spot for him because he can again. He could just be the candidate. He's that good that he could just go out and be the candidate. But will they be scared of the record? Will there be someone better in 2028 that's surprising and stealing the show? Someone younger, whatever.
he
Is he
probably
the
has the best
candidate?
chance.
Maybe, maybe not.
Remember, to win the primary, let alone the election, you got to be able to raise money, and
He can raise money.
he can raise money. So with all that said, he can raise. If you look at that list again, not only he's got the most name recognition, he probably has the best chance of raising the most money.
Well, JB Pritzker is going to have money on his own, but
Yeah, yeah. But you know what I
as a
mean.
billionaire, he's not going anywhere. I think Gavin raising money, um, if unless Kamala runs, I think Gavin's got the best chance to raise money.
Yeah.
Um, again, we'll see. He possibly could be the best candidate. I don't want to say that, but he's probably their best candidate to send out there. Um,
And he's
as
young,
shaky
so
as he is.
yeah.
Um, well, let's move on. Stephen A. Smith, a different name.
Yeah, I know. I think he's a shot in the pan.
I
In
think
other
he's
words,
I think he's a good surprise. You never know.
yeah, but I
You
think
never know with these guys that could he just run and surprise everybody? He doesn't go. I don't think he goes very far, but
Mhm.
he could be again, he's a good debater. That matters. Um, I think he could be a fun ride for a couple primary debates. but I don't think he
Actually,
makes the top three.
he's got, if, well, in this, for guys, sports fan guys, he's got a lot of name recognition.
Yeah,
Not
you know
with,
what?
not with women. Seriously.
He's also very centrist. If you
Yeah.
listen to his political policy stances, he listens very well to. He's talked to Republicans. He listens well. He has very um, centrist kind of beliefs. He's a little more independent in a sort, but he's definitely left leaning. I think socially he's left leaning. I think he could surprise some people and be like, you know what? I didn't expect Stephen A. to have these
You know,
solid political beliefs. I think
my
there will be people saying that, and I think again the name recognition. I don't know how he'd be able to raise too much money, but he knows a lot of rich people, so shit, maybe he can.
but
Um,
you know what else he has that's not a good thing. He can be annoying.
oh, he can. He's pissed a lot of people off in the last month
Yeah, yeah,
about this LeBron business.
yeah,
Him
yeah.
and LeBron have been beefing, but
He again, he's in the entertainment business, so he's got to take sides, and he has to loudly take sides to stand out, right?
yeah.
And as a
But
result, he definitely. That's why I think you got to move him way down to me. I mean,
no, I think he's more nationally
Pulitzer-Prize.
he's
Yeah,
more known than any of the people below him.
it's true. It's true.
He could,
By
and
guys.
he's a better. He's proven he's a good debater.
Yeah,
I think could surprise. You never know.
yeah. I
Well,
think
we're gonna throw another person in there that you talked about earlier, Mark Cuban. We
yeah.
might as well go to
I
him.
think
think
I think he's the Trump-esque, although he'd never be like to call that. You know, he's had a TV show. He's a celebrity, but he's also a very successful business person. So, um, you, I don't know why anybody would want this job, right? And other than more power and ego, but he's got a chance. You know, if he brings the
well,
right,
I
I,
think him and Stephen A are on the same level.
yeah, I mean that's fine. I'm okay with that, but I think he's got a chance.
He's got money. He's got again more people know him. He was going against Trump in 2028. I think he's probably got a better chance at Stephen A. But I think Stephen A. is more likely to run than Mark Cuban. So
Well, again, um, and this is let's finish up, and I'll tell you why else I think he's got a chance. Let's get the
we'll just
last
go
two.
into it.
I don't think Kamala's running. I think she's running for governor, or it's
Why? Well,
she
she'll
got beat
decide in
up.
summer, so we'll find out soon.
Yeah,
Um, well, to be fair, I will say, if she did run, this is where I'd place her.
yeah,
You were a loser. You did not win. Although you are the Democrat right now, you're the face of the Democratic Party. I think they want someone new. I
yeah.
think the
I
people
think so
want
too.
someone new.
I think they gave her a chance, and the Democratic Party is going to fight it.
I mean, she got smoked in 2020 primaries. She didn't even make the state, and like
Right.
she you know, um, so I think I'd say no chance. She had her chance. I think she should go to governorship of California. Because to be honest, I think she actually will do better as a governor than a president. Because one of her strengths is crime.
Mhm.
She could do well on crime, and crime is more of a state issue. Crime isn't a national issue; it's more of a state issue. I think she's a better governor than a president would be. I think she should take her straight. Because here's the other thing: is she is a clear shot to be governor. I'd say it's like an 80% chance she
Yeah,
gets in as the
it's
California governor.
right. I agree.
As president, she's running like a 20 at max percent.
Yeah,
She's it's a low chance. Like we have her, and I'd say no chance. Governor, if this was a governor list of California, she'd be number one.
yeah.
But this is the president, and she had her chance. I think a lot of people are saying she. I mean, there was a lot of people saying she wouldn't have been picked if there was an actual real primary in 2024. Um, so I think she doesn't have a chance. I think she got her chance. The people said no. It's better to move on. I think throwing out the same candidate after losing, I don't even know when was the last time that probably happened. That happened during Roosevelt, FDR.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's there
They
were
threw
some
out two
candidates
candidates
who
back
ran
then.
2 or 3 times, you know.
But were the
And
nom?
huh?
But was the nomination?
Yeah, yeah.
Who's the last one though?
Turn of the century.
It's been 80 years.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been 100
I
years.
think maybe it happened against
Yeah,
Truman, but
yeah,
it's been a long time.
yeah. There's no doubt they've had losers run over and over again, but they won
Well,
the
I guess
nomination.
yeah. Um, but yeah, and then last is Andy Bashir, governor of Kentucky.
Hmm.
He's a centrist. I think possibly. I think is he going to steal the hearts of people in this campaign in 2028? No, I don't think he's going to be the shining star. But for policy stance and as a candidate, I think he's got a good chance. If you're looking at good candidate, because again, to run in 2028 and for president, you have to have a lot of things. Gavin has one thing, which is he can talk, he can steal hearts, he can raise money. Will Andy Bashir raise a lot of money? Will he steal the hearts? Will he be a slick talker that gets people talking? I don't know. But he's got some solid policy. I think um, I think he's proven that he can win Kentucky. I think he's a solid option. Will he go far? Maybe not.
Again, I'm going back to governors versus cabinet secretaries and obviously with Congress, anybody in Congress. They've got accomplishments they can share. And George W. Bush won as a governor. Jimmy Carter won as a governor. Ronald Reagan was a governor. When you go back, those governors had something to run on, and they had success to talk about. So there's a chance that any one of these governors could actually show that they brought people together and accomplished things. So you can't count a governor out, and in a race against, that's why Gavin still has a chance, because he can, shine light on things that he has accomplished. So we'll see. But I
Well,
agree.
we'll hear 100 times that California is the fourth biggest economy in the world. We'll hear it 100 times. Do you want to change anything about the list?
No, I think the
Move
cream
anyone up or down?
the cream rose to the top there, right?
So,
I mean, I do think Mark Cuban as an outsider could do it, but I don't see anybody else we left out.
well, do you like Gretchen Whitmer as the number one?
Again, I said she's the strongest woman candidate, so she has to be up there. I'm not sure about Wes Moore.
You're Hayden West. I think he could do it. But
Yeah, I
would you want to move West to possibly?
Yeah, I think Buttigieg is going to do a better
I think
job
West has a
too.
better chance than Buttigieg.
Yeah, but I agree. But you know what?
But he's a new face. He's a new face.
Yeah, those 4 or 5, with maybe Cuban, because Cuban's got money too, right? And he's got that celebrity. You can't count out celebrity after the last one,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's why him and Stephen A are higher than whatever that is, 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're in the top whatever that is.
Yeah, top 10.
They're in the 12th and 13th spot, which to run for president is a pretty goddamn good spot. In my list, I'd have Wes Moore up here, but to meet a consensus, we'll have him in possibly. You agree with everything? You happy?
Yep. And how about you?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'd move Wes Moore up to highest potential.
I just want to close with, and then we'll get into the Republicans, that the Democrats have a huge chance to bounce back. I mean, if you just think about things that have been going on with the Trump-led administration right now, the everything about Doge is left, although they mean well, it's not been executed well, so it's got a sour. It's really kind of turned off people. There's been overreach. You could argue with immigration, even though they're not exactly, sending everyone back like they said. The tariffs are going to open up the business community to want change. Then he's had his whole payback, revengeful firings, anti-allies, and all the disruption of the world order, in both the world order and domestic order. And a lot of these inexperienced cabinet picks are just going to, their inexperience is going to come out. There's no way around it. Their resume was filled with, being a celebrity on a news station. So I think it's going to be a tough thing for this administration to build up a successful track record. And the Democrats, I think in 2026, are going to take back over Congress, and then 2028 have a clear opportunity if one of these or two of these can rise to the top. So we'll see.
Cool.
All right, let's take a short break, and then we're going to come back with our Republican list.